Hello there, you're watching the press preview, a first look at what is on the front pages. Time then to see what's making the headlines with The Sun's chief political correspondent, Jack Elsom, and The Guardian's political correspondent, Aletha Adu. Welcome to both of you, with us from now until just before midnight. So, to the front pages, let us start with the Metro. Kate's photo bomb, reads the Metro, reporting on the princess's apology and admission that it was she who edited the photo of her and her children, which was pulled by major picture agencies last night. Lay off Kate. Attacks over edited pic are absurd, is the headline for The Sun. The Daily Mail begs the million-dollar question, how did Kate's photo become a PR disaster? Similarly, on the front of the Daily Star, they say soz regarding Kate's editing confession. The Guardian carries an exclusive, quoting the Conservative Party's largest donor, Frank Hester, as telling employees of his healthcare technology firm, TPP, that the Labour MP Diane Abbott makes people, quote, want to hate all black women and that she should be shot. A statement posted by Mr Hester's ex-account admits he was rude about Ms Abbott, but is deeply sorry, has reached out to her to apologise and insists that he abhors racism. Front page of the Eye, the UK's ISA policy will be delayed until after the general election, which the paper says means it may never happen at all. A vow from the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is on the front page of the Telegraph as he pledges to build new power stations to ease the risk of blackouts. Meanwhile, the Daily Express exposes what it calls the lies of asylum seekers, reportedly faking conversions to Christianity to remain in Britain. According to the Financial Times, the messaging app Telegram has hit 900 million users and is nearing profitability. Well, a reminder, by scanning the QR code you'll see on screen during the programme, you can check out the front pages of tomorrow's newspapers while you watch us. So let's head straight back to Jack and Aletha. Welcome back to both of you. Let's kick off then, shall we, with the photo. The photo bomb is how the Metro put it. And, you know, Aletha, it genuinely has gone wrong, hasn't it? Let's be honest.
I mean, it's been quite a day, really, to learn that Kate Middleton has had to come out and apologise for making quite what you can call a sloppy edit on what may be Photoshop. It's a real shame, though, because, you know, for weeks now, the public, everyone has been so concerned about Kate Middleton's health. We've wanted to see her, just, you know, make sure that she's doing OK. And obviously we get this lovely picture of her and her children on Mother's Day, of like such a lovely message. And then obviously you can see these, you know, remarkable edits, as we can call them. And I guess now we're in a situation in which, you know, the public are now going to be questioning, can we actually trust all the pictures that the royal family are releasing if they're all edited to this degree? And I guess, you know, if we're going to be fair, obviously we're living in a day and age where all of us tend to use a bit of filters. I mean, Jack was saying maybe he doesn't.
He doesn't know how.
Never. You can't improve on this, can you?
It's photos you take of other people.
Yes.
You might want to improve on that. Anyway, but the point is, I mean, I definitely, you know, haven't put a sparkle on it or put a filter on it or whatever. I wouldn't know necessarily how to Photoshop or send one out, quite. Certainly. But everybody, I mean, I bet all of us have gone through on social media or on news websites and picked out the bits we could spot of the suggested errors, effectively, in this photograph, you know, starting with the one that everyone's mentioned, which is, you know, Princess Charlotte's wrist. You know, you can look at all of these, you know, at your leisure, can't you? The point is that the end of the royal family taking their own photographs? Does it change reputationally the level of trust we have in them? Does it put an end to any of the conspiracy theories, which social media has been rife about Kate's health, which is the biggest issue for them right now?
Yeah, that's going to be the question going forward, isn't it? I think why this sort of really shocked people today was because it was almost a bit of whiplash, really. For a long time now, since Kate went into hospital, we've almost had pretty much radio silence from the palace on exactly what is going on with her. And listen, she's completely entitled to privacy in terms of her health. However, when we saw this photograph come out yesterday, I think it actually lifted a lot of people's spirits, you know. They look like a normal family, it's Mother's Day, it's a nice photo which Wills has taken, and then obviously it sort of started to unravel on closer inspection. You know, when I first saw this photograph, I thought, how lovely is that? But obviously on closer scrutiny, it has been doctored, and for Kate to come out there, I think, and personally fess up to that is quite a big move, isn't it? You sort of think about the palace in the past, and it's never complain, never explain. And I think this was quite a bold effort for her and the royal family to put this matter to bed now.
But it was only last week, wasn't it? The royal correspondents were saying they have to issue a photograph and thereby taking out all the value of paparazzi following her around, trying to get a snap, which ends up on sites like TMZ, for example, which is what we saw. And now they put out a photograph because that's what everyone was baying for, and then it's gone wrong. So the baying doesn't end. That's the problem, isn't it, really, here?
Yeah, and lessons have got to be learned from this fiasco, whether or not the royal family, Kate, Wills, have to tell their social media team, by the way, this has been doctored, so they can then respond to proactive inquiries. I think if you had told the team, and maybe even the press agencies, we have slightly edited this photo to make it a bit more appealing in some regards, but actually, there's no fundamental major changes to it. That maybe could have been palatable. But the fact they allowed this speculation sort of run and run and run for a good about 12 hours before finally it was put to bed just whipped up the whole row, and it could have been knocked on the head pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a photo of the King there. He made an address. It was supposed to be all about the Commonwealth this week, wasn't it? The Daily Mail says, how did the Kate photo become such a PR disaster? William on his way to Windsor, obviously. Kate for a private appointment, also seen in the car. Photos that we are now running, having not run the TMZ ones. Do you know what I mean? It goes on. The focus was supposed to be about the Commonwealth and the extraordinary work the royal family do to support it. That's the point of this week, isn't it?
I mean, it's just quite remarkable for 6 global picture agencies to come out and say they're going to kill a photo, a royal photograph, that be it. So I think, maybe the Palace comms team could have been a bit quicker to get ahead on this and simply put this story to bed before everybody else went to bed last night and simply, make this apology or set out exactly what was edited. And I think, to be honest, we're living in an age of, AI is, growing very fast and very quickly. And, it's very fair for these agencies to come out and say, we need to know, whether a picture has been edited, just so that they're never circulating anything that is fake. We're getting so many fake images. We're leading up to a general election campaign. We've already heard of, fake audio with, Keir Starmer and Sadiq Khan. It's going to be very tricky now trying to manage how we deal with these sort of, fake things going around. And I think this is just one example of how things could get out of hand if people aren't completely truthful.
Yes, and those of us who work in news, you try to get as close to the truth as you can, and it feels like an uphill struggle because of AI, editing techniques and barefaced lies, effectively, from some people. But there is William at this service, shoulders slumped, looking in despair. And I know picture editors can choose whatever picture they want, but it does say a lot, doesn't it, that one?
Yes, he doesn't look best pleased, does he? And that was the point you were making, right? This basically overshadowed this entire day. It's meant to be about the Commonwealth, it's meant to celebrate the sort of family of nations around the world. And we're not talking about that at all. We're talking about this row over a picture, entirely the royal family's own making, hyped up by social media, and they're potentially prolonged by a lack of ability to grip this early on. And you've got to feel for them, if you're going through a health battle, the last thing you want are the eyes of the world on you. Obviously, a lot of that comes with the territory of being a member of the royal family. The sort of the deal you have with the public and the contract you have with the public is that they will support you and fund you, and you get an element of scrutiny, but also an element of insight, which you give them, because obviously they're your adoring fans. However, when it goes wrong like this, obviously we see photographs of not just a future king, but also a husband and a father, obviously not too pleased with how this has gone down.
Yes, and these are the two who are shouldering, having to shoulder the royal family right now. The king with cancer. The Princess of Wales, we're not supposed to see her till Easter. Even Sarah Ferguson, with a second cancer diagnosis herself. It's been a very, very difficult time for them, hasn't it? Daily Star, Soz, Kate's pick confession. She admits the heinous crime of being pretty dodgy at Photoshop is their take on it. Perhaps putting it in perspective, one might say.
Yes.
And then your paper, The Sun, lay off Kate. Attacks over edited pic are absurd, The Sun says.
Yeah, it's sort of a rare front-page leader column for The Sun tomorrow. And, I think we think that, scrutiny of the royal family is completely legitimate, although some of the stuff you've been seeing on social media is just awash with absolute sort of crackpot conspiracy theories. It has been for a while now, really hauling Kate and Wills over the coals for their behaviour. Kate's obviously come out today with a pretty strident, full-throated apology for this. And so I think The Sun and We Are tomorrow saying, just lay off her a bit now. She's going through a health battle, which is at the heart of this. She spent 2 weeks in hospital recovering from stomach surgery. She tried to put out a nice photo on Mother's Day. Yes, it went a bit it went a bit awry, but the intention was there. And I think that tomorrow we're saying to these people who are on social media, still, sort of prolonging conspiracies, just, ease off a bit, take off the tinfoil hats and do something else.
I'm not sure I found this introduction quite interesting, though, because personally, when I'm having a look at social media, I don't really see people attacking Kate Middleton. If anything, it just seems like there's been a lot of concern about her health, and rightly so. I mean, when they're talking about, idiotic conspiracy theorists, yes, there's been a lot going around, but again, if the palace perhaps could have got ahead on that and sort of, given us more of a steer on how she was doing, like they did with King Charles and his cancer battle at the moment, I think maybe this could have been put to bed, perhaps. And, we've seen with other royals, to put some names in the hat, like Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, who, have taken a bit of a beating in the press, to say the least. Maybe you guys could have been a bit fairer in terms of, backing all of them, perhaps.
I think if you look at social media at the moment, there is an absolute sort of litany and cesspit of conspiracies against Kate Middleton, which I don't think are entirely fair, and obviously completely inaccurate as well. So I think just ease off, guys. I think that's the message tomorrow.
OK. They said abdominal surgery. I'm just,
Sorry. Yeah.
Every word is followed, and to add to the conspiracy theories that are out there. Lots more still to come. We will talk about Lee Anderson and the government reportedly kicking into touch a policy it only announced last week into the long grass. Back with that in just a moment. Well, welcome back. You are watching the Press Preview. Joining me once again, Jack Elsom and Aletha Adu. Welcome back to both of you. To politics now. The big news today. Lee Anderson, he recently, ex-deputy chair of the Conservative Party, defecting to Reform UK after his Islamist row with the London mayor. Shall I carry on? It's a very long story so far, isn't it? But the point is, how damaging is it for the Conservative Party? And is it the end of the broad church, you could argue, was created by Boris Johnson?
Listen, it is arguably damaging for Rishi Sunak to have one of his key Red Wall poster boys defect to Reform, which is sapping Conservative voters every single day. I think it's survivable for Rishi Sunak, this. I mean, Number 10 and the sort of the Tory spin operation are already sort of portraying this as almost like an embittered Lee Anderson, who, let's not forget, only weeks ago was taking pot shots at Richard Tice, making videos with the Prime Minister. He was the deputy leader of the party. And then, obviously, he went a step too far, made comments about Sadiq Khan and had the whip withdrew from him. So it was sort of a free hit for Lee Anderson, really, wasn't it? He wasn't going to be let back into the Tory fold anytime soon. I think he'll be in trouble if any more go over the line with him, if any more actual Tory MPs, sitting Tory MPs, choose to jump ship and defect to Reform. Richard Tice is saying that's a definite possibility today. The proof will be in the pudding now.
Yes, I mean, one journalist putting the number on 9 possible Conservatives, and yet the Telegraph is urging the Tories to change, or saying that Tories are urged to change course as more MPs may join Reform. Change course in what way, Aletha?
Well, it's interesting as Labour are already pushing the narrative, trying to highlight that this is not even about Lee Anderson and him defecting to the Reform Party. It's actually just, 14 years of chaos of the Conservative government. Rishi Sunak is, one of many prime ministers we had in just a few years, and he is not somebody, they're saying, who is capable of holding in the divisions within this party. Now, the public are going to be looking at this and thinking, wow, OK, there's not much, working for me right now in terms of transport. We can talk about public services and we can go on. But we've also got a party that, when it comes to standards in public life, I mean, Lee Anderson was suspended for making Islamophobic remarks about the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan. He was saying that Islamists had control of Sadiq Khan, which was, quite remarkable.
The Tories have never accepted it was Islamophobic,
Tories have never accepted
they just said it was wrong, I think the word was.
Yes.
Definitely been accused of, making such remarks. And he has said repeatedly today he is not going to apologise for it. But there are many MPs, Tory MPs on the right side of the party who are still questioning, why did Rishi Sunak remove the party whip from this guy? He's amazing, he's our poster boy, he speaks to a certain group of people within the Red Wall. Some Tory MPs that are feeling not so confident in their constituency might be feeling as though maybe this is my time to jump ship. Maybe more of the voters in my constituency might be backing Reform, who are polling around, 10 to 11%? They've only got one MP. just a small handful
Well,
of
it's one more
councils.
than they had first thing this morning. But this is the New Conservatives, or the leaders of the New Conservatives group, said the blame for the former Tory deputy chair switching allegiance lay with the Tory party itself. So, you know...
Well, the Reform Party are fantastic at punching Rishi Sunak's bruises, and there are many in the Tory right who will be nodding along when they listen to Lee Anderson talk about high illegal migration, talk about the small boats crisis, talk about wading into the culture wars. They'll be completely on board with this sort of stuff. The problem for Rishi Sunak now is, I think, trying to go into that election and frame this as a choice between him and Keir Starmer, because at the moment he's not doing that, and he's losing voters to the Reform Party, polling, 10-12%. They actually haven't done that well at the ballot box recently. Despite the fact they're polling very well, and by-elections should be their bread and butter, they sort of flocked to the by-elections. Obviously, they are gaining traction. Rishi Sunak now needs to make this a choice between him and Keir Starmer, because he needs to convince voters who are currently looking towards reform that actually a vote for them is just a vote to get Keir Starmer into number 10. Something Lee Anderson, the point he was making not a few weeks ago, going into that election now, Sunak needs to be much more vocal and clear about that narrative. Otherwise, you're just going to get a Reform Party skimming votes off the Tories and handing the keys to number 10 to the Labour Party.
Yes, and I suppose the whole point is Boris Johnson, at the last election, absorbed UKIP because of his Let's Get Brexit Done. And here we are seeing the unravelling of that in some respects, aren't we? Quick story, 30 seconds only, I'm afraid, Aletha. A policy from the budget which seems to be falling away already.
Yes, I mean, after what many Conservative MPs told me, it felt like quite a flat budget and not something that they can really be cheering for and urging voters to back at the doorstep. We've got yet another story that's suggesting this £5,000 tax-free savings announcement may not even be able to make it until after the next election, which will lead many people to feel as though what might they actually be able to do before the next election, which will be, as early as May.
Yeah, and that was one of the new announcements in a heavily trailed budget, wasn't it? That's the point.
Yes.
Jack, Aletha, lovely to have you both on. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you, of course, for the 11 right now. Here's the weather.